points no longer stand, and thus sports should be mandatory after school.
Refuting our opponent's points and then move on to our own. Okay, point number one. They supposedly refuted our point saying that private schools, like the lack of equipment, they said they would be provided with government funds. How can you necessarily ensure that to be true? Because, I mean, even now, we know that, yes, sports is important, and, right now, like, private schools, they are in dire need of equipment, even textbooks, things that they need to learn with. And the government knows that some schools need these textbooks, they need these to learn with, they need education, which is already an integral part of our society, which is already necessary, which is a lot more necessary than sports. And they don't provide them with those government funds. So how can you ensure that if they make after-school sports activities a necessity, they're going to provide them with government funds when they don't even do that now for textbooks? They don't do that. And I can cite personal examples. The elementary school I went to, we had many troubles with our...
Okay, you stated that the funds for sports are not insured.
How can you ensure that they would be?
If schools were to make sports mandatory for all students, they would also ensure that funds were able to fund the sports. If it was mandatory for all schools, they would obviously fund it.
Okay, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. You're saying that if they would make it mandatory, then they would provide the funds. Well, education is already made mandatory, but they do not provide private schools with funds for textbooks, with funds for science labs, with funds for chemistry equipment. They don't provide those funds, and we already know how important that is. Education, that kind of education is already made obligatory, but they don't provide those funds. So how can you say that if sports was made obligatory, then they would provide funds for those, if they don't even do that now for textbooks? That's incorrect. All right, moving on to the next point. Health in general, helps the community. Basically, you said that 75% of athletes do better at school. I wish you would have cited a reliable...
What's the Time magazine? All trying to study.
Okay, sports aren't going to take a lot of time. Okay, if say that they're going to make sports obligatory part of the curriculum after school, if they're going to make it mandatory, then obviously they're going to make it enough time so that it would benefit the students in some way. It would show that, their physical health is improving, whatnot, etc., etc. 15 minutes is not enough. I know that much is for sure, because, PE itself, okay, it takes up about the same amount of time as regular classes do. And they have that for a reason. They have it for the reason because they know that this is how much time they need for them to get the results that they want. So 15 minutes would not be enough, and that would pose a problem for the students who are in rigorous academic schools, and also students who go to schools where they have end of the year finals that require like a yearly curriculum. You have to study from what they taught you in the beginning, and then be tested on it at the end of the year. And I can tell you that's a lot of work. It takes a lot of studying. It takes a lot of time. And if they made sports and a mandatory part of after school, then it's going to hinder their academics. It will. Okay, prevents misuse of time. Okay, they could also go to the community center for these kinds of things. Kids who say they end up on the streets or end up doing drugs after school. Those kinds of kids, you're going to have, if they don't show up for their classes, they're probably not going to show up for the sports either. Because those kind of kids, in DC, there's this huge problem with public schools nowadays. They started this whole new program so they could keep the kids in school. And what it is kind of like a bounty thing. You come, we give you money. Okay, and it's not, and even that's not giving the results that they want. So if they're not going to come for that, then they might as well not come for sports either. I mean, there is no way you can make sure that they will. So it does not necessarily keep the kids off the streets. They can also go to the community center, by the way. I'm going to reiterate our answer. Oh, one more thing, I'm sorry. You mentioned obesity. It would, lower health benefit. It would increase health, and definitely, I mean, yeah, exercise is very important for a healthy lifestyle. But exercise isn't the only way a person can maintain that healthy lifestyle. It's a collaborative effort with a healthy diet as well as physical training. So I mean, if they just do 30-40 minutes of jumping jacks or kicking the ball or things like that, then that would not help them. And now so I would just like to read our points. Having mandatory sports would, they would pose a problem for personal issues, transportation, medical things, teachers with qualification, commitment issues, availability of equipment, and they would not pose as many benefits as they would pose as many problems.
I'd like to state our points again. First of all, we don't want after-school sports to be mandatory on all kids because of health issues. Like personally, I'm anemic, and if I do sports, like if I forget to eat for some reason or I don't eat enough, and then I do sports, I pass out. It's happened to me many times before. That's why I don't participate in extracurricular activities. And first of all, you guys said that sports after school would be counted extracurricular. It's not extracurricular. If it's mandatory, then it counts as a class. And would you get a credit for it? What exactly does it count for? And you can't say it's extracurricular, so you can't use it on your transcript. It's just another class you took. And then another one of our points, like say you said funding. For after school sports does not have funding because say the school takes away funding from like a science club or something else and they use that funding for the sports. Some parents would be mad because not all parents approve of sports and not all students join regular sports, so why would they join after school sports? And then earlier you mentioned that misuse of time, drugs, like she stated before. If somebody does drugs, they most likely don't show up to all their classes. And if they most likely don't show up to all their classes, why would they show up to another class where they physically have to work? And lessening time, 15 minutes, that's just a workout. That's a small workout. That doesn't count as a sport. And teachers with qualifications. So teachers get paid to teach you the gym, but how can you ensure that they're going to get paid to...
You said that if they're not going to participate in school, then they're not going to participate in sports?
What?
You said people...
Yeah.
Okay. So sports is different than school. It's not the same experience. So one might enjoy school and one might not enjoy school, but one might enjoy sports. Who said that one who takes drugs won't be able to enjoy sports?
Okay. If somebody takes drugs, that means most likely they're high. If they're high, they're not in the state of mind where they listen properly and do stuff. If you give them instructions, they won't either follow it through, they'll get pissed and start cussing at you, which starts a disturbance, then your whole class isn't focused. You have to take this one child out and take them somewhere else. So, that's to that. Buses, like you said.
People who take drugs are not necessarily high all the time. It's not like their life revolves around being high.
Okay. If they're not high, they're either sniffing something, or they do weed, or something they smell. There's, like, me personally, when I'm around people who smoke or people who do weed, I can't breathe. I know people who have asthma. Just being around people who smoke before they came to class, they have issues. They have to leave the classroom. So personally, you would not only be having somebody who doesn't listen in class, they'd be endangering other students. And transportation, okay? Some schools, like I know ISA, with buses, they don't get buses. They either have to get a parent or a ride or something. They don't have buses for after-school activities. And I know personally, from experience, that my old middle school, it would not provide buses at all. And this is Montgomery County. They have money and stuff, but they would not provide buses. So transportation is the issue. And then for personal issues, there's people who have to work after school, like to pay off rent. Like they have a single parent, their mom's working, and they have to work too, because you know the economy is falling these days. They don't have enough money. So if the economy doesn't have enough money for their banks, what it proves to you that the government will give our schools money, especially if it's a private school or a private religion school. Catholic schools, yeah, whatever, they get money from the government because it's Catholic. But Islamic schools, can you ensure that they will get money? And